The US-China economic relationship is again strained. Former President Trump, now in his second term, has reignited trade tensions. His focus remains on reducing the US trade deficit with China. The deficit persists, a point of contention for the administration. Trump has threatened a 10% tariff on Chinese imports. This tariff would take effect on February 1, 2025. The administration cites several factors for this aggressive stance. One key justification is China's alleged failure to curb fentanyl trafficking. Fentanyl, a dangerous synthetic opioid, has fueled a crisis in the US. The administration argues that China is a major source of fentanyl precursors. These chemicals flow through Mexico and Canada into the US. This hardline approach marks a departure from the relative calm of the past few years. While the initial trade war of Trump's first term subsided, underlying tensions never truly resolved. The current situation raises concerns about a full-blown economic conflict. Such a conflict would have global consequences. Businesses and markets are watching closely, bracing for uncertainty. The potential economic fallout is a major concern for both countries. China's export-oriented economy could suffer greatly from American tariffs. Reduced demand for Chinese goods could lead to factory closures and job losses. The impact would ripple through the Chinese economy, affecting consumer spending and overall growth. The Phase 1 trade deal, signed in 2020, aimed to address some of these imbalances. This agreement obligated China to increase its purchases of American goods. The goal was to reduce the trade deficit and appease concerns about unfair trade practices. While China did boost purchases of certain products like soybeans and energy, it fell short in other areas. Manufactured goods and services, key sectors for the US economy, saw less progress. The reasons for this shortfall are complex, ranging from the COVID-19 pandemic to structural issues within China's economy. The Trump administration argues that China has not fully lived up to its commitments. This perceived failure fuels the administration's current aggressive stance. The administration's critics, however, offer a different perspective. They argue that the Phase 1 deal was always unrealistic in its scope. They point out the challenges of forcing such a dramatic shift in trade flows. Furthermore, they criticize the use of tariffs as a blunt instrument that harms both economies. The fentanyl crisis is a genuine tragedy, but its connection to the trade war is complex. While China is a source of fentanyl precursors, the issue involves international criminal networks. Simply imposing tariffs might not be the most effective way to address this complex problem. It could, however, serve as a bargaining chip in broader negotiations. The Biden administration is likely to face pressure to take a tough stance on China. However, it must also weigh the potential economic costs of a trade war. A delicate balancing act will be required. The administration will need to address legitimate concerns about China's trade practices while avoiding a destructive economic conflict. American businesses operating in China, like Tesla, face a challenging environment. Tesla, with its significant investments in Chinese manufacturing, exemplifies this dilemma. The company benefits from China's growing electric vehicle market. However, it must also navigate the political sensitivities of operating within an increasingly assertive China. The future of the US-China economic relationship remains uncertain. The potential for cooperation exists, particularly in areas like climate change and global health. However, the current trajectory suggests a period of continued tension. The world will be watching closely to see how these two economic giants navigate this complex and consequential relationship.